Good morning. Today is October the 4th, 2019. And today I'm going to make the major focus of this video on Pluto and Pluto going direct and how that is going to impact each sign, how it's going to impact us globally, how it's going to impact the country of the United States in particular, and how it is going to impact us individually. Pluto is a really powerful planet. It is the ruler of Scorpio. For a while they called it a non-planet, but it's now sort of regained its status again. And being the ruler of Scorpio, it is the ruler over issues revolving around birth, death, sexuality, other people's money, borrowing money, divorce, the occult. And just to mention that the word occult means hidden matters. So Pluto in the chart, wherever that is sitting in your chart, natally, that is the day that you were born, the moment you were born, that is the part of your chart where you're going to go through the deepest soul transformation and hopefully the greatest soul rejuvenation, the rebirth, because Scorpio also has several aspects to it. First, it has the level of Pluto being its ruler, of being the Scorpion, where it can be vicious and vindictive and sting others and be super intense and inflict that intensity on others and be downright nasty at times. The next layer of Scorpio, because not everybody comes in as a Scorpio, the next layer of Scorpio would be the snake. So the snake would be the scorpion that goes through many lives within one life. In other words, as we all know, the snake grows a skin, goes through life experiences and sheds a skin, and is feeling very vulnerable and raw and exposed, and then grows a new skin. And throughout its life, it sheds many skins. So that level of Pluto would be affecting those at a level of evolvement that would have chosen to come into this life with an understanding that they would live many lives within one life. So they have a whole section of life that might be with one person, with one mate, or one upbringing, or one financial level, and then go into a whole other experience of life. And this would continue throughout their life. And I've given readings to Scorpios that have or had strong Pluto in their chart that have literally gone through 4 or 5 lives within one life by the time they're 60 or 70. The next level of Scorpio would be the ego level of Scorpio. It's a more evolved level, and we can sometimes start as the scorpion, go to the snake, and go to the eagle within one life through life experience, because Scorpios seem to have within their nature a great capacity to take on a lot in one lifetime. So most of the Scorpios I know have gone through some pretty rough lives, or what the world would describe as very, very intense lives with a lot of death, a lot of loss, a lot of sometimes near-death experiences, health issues. This would also apply to people that have a strong Pluto in their chart. Say they're born as a Libra, but they have their sun conjuncting Pluto. That makes them more like a Scorpio, or a Virgo with a sun conjunct Pluto, or a Leo, and it goes on and on. So the level of the ego is basically to be able to look at your life and fly above your own life. In other words, to detach from your obsession with your own life, or your obsession with being a victim to your own life, or your ultra sensitive focus on how others have mistreated you, and instead to go to the higher eagle aspect of seeing the divine purpose for your suffering, and not looking at yourself in any way as a victim of suffering, but more that, okay, this was a hell of a period in my life. I went through a lot and it just never seemed to end. It just be piled on me. But now I'm taking the higher vision, like I'm climbing a mountain, I'm looking down on my life, and I'm seeing that divine perspective. I'm seeing the kaleidoscope of my life and of how things all fit together, how things work. So this is wherever Pluto is in your chart, these different levels of expression of Scorpio are acting out in your chart. And that's why today we're going to look at where it is in your chart. The final and highest expression of Scorpio, which comes from only the most evolved Scorpios, would be, excuse me, that of the Phoenix. So the Phoenix is the one that has literally lost everything, lost house, lost family, lost maybe a child, lost parents young, lost all their money, lost their self-esteem, gone through great degradation, or felt absolutely abandoned by the world, completely at a loss, and have gone through the fires of hell. And really what it is at some level that Scorpio came in to achieve divine transmutation of all its sorrow into a state of divine expression. And it's really literally risen from its own self-immolation to a place of exaltation and understanding of what is suffering, why it's visited upon us, and that delusion of suffering, which may sound strange. And often that person has gone through a huge amount of death. Sometimes they've gone through their own near-death experience in a profound way, or they've gone through a really serious illness, or just faced death in so many ways, or been drawn to death, gone into a hospice and worked in a hospice and really tried to understand death and the rebirth of being. So right now we have Pluto in Capricorn globally. Pluto has gone direct. Yesterday it went direct. And if you remember, I said that once it went direct, for the next 3 months, there would be an increase in the intensity of what we're going through. But I don't want people to look at this in a negative way that they can't make it through, but more with an understanding of where it is in your chart and in our country, where it is in the United States, and globally where it is, that we need to focus our attention in order to bring about a sense of understanding of love, divine mercy, and divine wisdom. And right now we're being challenged mightily. Pluto being in Capricorn, it's relating, Pluto has come along to destroy or to realign or to burn away the negativity of different corporate systems. So there's this great focus in the United States right now on the 0.01% that are controlling all the money and all the decisions and the elections and the power struggles coming through the force of money. We're also seeing it with our president, who's completely been focused on self-absorption and power, and using the position of power to increase money and to create actually moving in his own direction toward trying to control everything in sight, and to use nepotism to keep that power condensed and that money held within becoming one of those 0.1%, 0.1%. The other thing that it controls are the banking systems, the stock market, the corporate structures, the structures of our government. So right now we're seeing literally all that we held dear or thought to be a certain way being smashed to smithereens, and we're being challenged now. What are you going to do about that? How are you going to come forth? Everything's being burned away. Everything you believed in or thought was a given is now being taken apart. How are you going to shift that? How are you going to rebuild that? How is there going to be a rebirth? And often what Pluto does is, if that's happening in a certain country like the United States or Britain, it's because there was existing beneath the surface corruption, racism, white nationalism, greed, corporate control, oligarchies, arrogance, pride, too much nationalism to the extreme of separatism, divisiveness. All of these Plutos come along now and say, well, we're going to take those governmental structures and we're just going to bring forth leaders through the left hand of God, if you want to call it, that are going to challenge the system. And they will use corrupt methods. Putin, Kim Jong-un, Boris in England, Trump in America, they're going to, but they're really, you cannot blame the leaders. The force of those greedy aspirations had to exist to vote in those leaders, or those systems had to have underlying corruption that needed to be exposed. So often it's like being in a family where somebody comes into the family and appears to be a real disturber, but through disturbing everything, the true hypocrisy or lack of love that is existing within the family is brought to the surface, and the system is that the family then has to go through a meltdown and what could seem like an ugly period in order to have a rebirth at a more honest level, at a cleaner level, at a more spiritual level of understanding, compassionate love, and divine mercy, and showing more wisdom of how the family must then walk forth into the world. This can happen in all aspects of life. It's happening in America. Globally, this is uprooting, I would say, where we had groups banding together that thought they were the good and over there was the evil, that now the corruption within the good is being brought to the surface to show that there is divisiveness globally, which is still producing all these wars and all this illness of division through religion, through the false morality, the false value systems that have been adopted, so that we have taken positions against each other without having any understanding of the oneness of humanity and the oneness of all of life. So that's what Pluto is doing right now. So I'm going to start with Aries. If you are either an Aries rising or an Aries sun, Pluto is in your solar chart affecting your 10th house of how you are seen in the world. So Pluto is affecting you most of all through your reputation, through your work arena, and how the world is seeing you, and is deeply asking you to realign with a higher expression of how you do your work. And do you need a rebirth in the work arena? Is that where you're supposed to be? So that would be probably the main focus of the Aries rising or Aries sun individual. With the Taurus rising, that Pluto would be in the 9th house of spirituality, travel, people from other nationalities, religions. So this would be asking you to really take a good hard look at how you feel about God, how you feel about the higher mind. Are you going into the higher mind? Are you delving beneath the surface? Are you living a shallow life? Are you taking on a deeper expression of understanding your own soul's purpose here and your own spiritual reference to life? Pluto going through the 8th house is sitting, and that would be applying to the Geminis, the Gemini rising and the Gemini sun. Pluto going through the 8th house is bringing about a huge shift in your feelings about birth, death, sexuality. It's the house of Scorpio, so Pluto is realigning your entire life in the most core hidden parts of your being. You may be finding you're really looking at your own shadow through somebody else's actions. You may be looking at your own value system, and you may be looking at, you may have gone through a divorce, you may have gone through a death that was really transformative. You may be going through your own health issues. You may be realigning your money and how you make your money and how you feel about money. This is for the Geminis, Gemini rising. For the Cancer, and this is the chart that rules the United States, Pluto is going through your 7th house of relationship. Pluto is opposing your sun. It is opposing who you are. It is making you United States, taking a good hard look. Who is the United States? What do they really stand for? What is their real personality? And what is their relationship with the rest of the world? So Pluto's been in there just creating upheaval with all of our relationships all over the world and causing a havoc. And so the Cancers and the Cancer risings have been going through a lot of relationship issues and a lot of relationship to themselves and how they see themselves, their own self-image. Pluto going through the 6th house, affecting the Leos, has been bringing a lot of Leo and Leo rising has bringing forth a lot of focus on health issues, on the regime of your life. How are you setting forth your own health regime, your own way that you walk through the world each day? How is your humility, Leo rising, Leo? Are you standing out of the spotlight and letting others teach you something right now? Are you looking with more humility on your own being and not sucking up all the oxygen in the room? Are you taking a more Leo rising have very generous souls, Leos, so it might be that they're realigning how they serve and where they serve and with whom they serve. Moving on to Virgo, the Pluto is going through your 5th house, of creativity and of children. So you may have been going through something powerful within your own family, with your children, with your own creative force. This would be for Virgo and Virgo rising. You may have been deeply looking at your own love and your own attitude to love, and secretly longing for a new love and wishing to express your life through love in a new and exciting way. Going into the house of Libra, Pluto is going through your fourth house of home. Libra rising through the subconscious. You may be looking at your own subconscious and really delving into parts of yourself that you were in denial about before, and really getting some therapy or looking at your family roots and how they have affected your attitude to life, how they are expressing in your day-to-day life, and maybe even thinking of remaking yourself in some way in a new career, advancing your career in a new way. Going through the house of Scorpio, Pluto is in the third house of communication. So the Scorpio or the Scorpio rising is deeply examining their own capability for communication, looking at their siblings, looking at their day-to-day communication with others. Perhaps even for myself, being a Scorpio, starting these YouTube channel, so you might be looking at enlarging your field of communication, going deeper with your communication with others, studying in new ways to bring forth education through your communication. For the Scorpios, Pluto being our ruler, wherever Pluto is in the chart is a powerful place for us of rejuvenation and a new life coming through communication. Going into the pathway of Scorpio, of Sagittarius or Sagittarius rising, Pluto is in your second house. So you've been looking a lot, Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising, at your own value system. What are your values? And are you living out your values? It also rules your day-to-day living. What is your day-to-day living? What is the structure of your day-to-day living? Do you need to shift that, change that? Do you need to make a realignment in that regard? Is there a way that perhaps your day-to-day living is not aligned with your beautiful spiritual nature, with your wonderfully exuberant, happy, uplifting nature? Are you getting too much into the doldrums of your own life? Going on to the Capricorn rising, there you are with Pluto in your first house, or the Capricorns. So you, above all others, have been remaking your personality, realigning your personality with a higher expression of how you came to this earth, breaking some of the crystallized structures of your thinking, getting out of the ruts, and looking to a new way of living. You may have moved, you may have thought about moving internally, becoming a new person, changing how you look, thinking less about how you look. It's a powerful one, because Pluto has come into your first house from the 12th house, so you've started a whole new way of life. For those who are Aquarius, Pluto is in your 12th house, so the Aquarians have been going through a lot of behind the scenes shifts. The Aquarians need to really, really clean out the old stuff, the hidden stuff. They realign themselves with their Holy Spirit. The Aquarius rising needs to remake from the inside out their attitude of being a victim to life. So Pluto in that house is saying, quit feeling victimized by life, if you are. If you're moving into a higher level of Aquarius, it may be that you're actually looking more into the Pisces aspect of existence, of a more spiritual life, of a life of greater understanding of the spiritual realms, and becoming more fascinated by the unknown and growing into a more ethereal being less dogmatic and less trodden down by and feeling less victimized by life. And now we move to Pisces, and the last sign of the zodiac, or Pisces rising. Pluto is sitting in your 11th house of humanitarian endeavors. So the Pisces right now, and also friendships. So the Pisces right now may find that they are rebuilding or renewing or clearing out the house of old friends and bringing in new friends. Pisces rising are also naturally humanitarian, so they may be looking to align themselves with a wonderful humanitarian cause. They may be taking their empathic souls and because they don't mind not having to be the leader, pouring their hearts and souls into helping someone right now who is within a humanitarian organization or running for political office in a humanitarian way, throwing their weight behind that person. The Pisces rising is a naturally sensitive soul, and they, as they choose their friends, they need to be realigning with friendships where there's an equal amount of sensitivity and kindness, and to also take out the victim from their life and instead take their great capacity to feel and pour it into the lives of others who are here to make a profound difference. I'd like to end there. I thank you for going this far with me with this video. It was a long one today. Please do leave comments about how you feel about these videos and how you feel about where you are at this stage of life, and if there's any way or any type of video that you would like to see here that I could help you with. And also do subscribe. It's really great to see new subscriptions. It enlarges my scope of being able to help others, and may you all tap into your capacity for great divine love and divine mercy, and may you feel that love emanating from my heart to yours. And as we approach this Plutonic period, the next 3 months, things start to escalate. Remember, you can always become that eagle and fly over your life and take a good deep look and grow in wisdom. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you took the time to spend time together. God be with you. Thank you.